John Bender played with the Nevada Wolfpack and in the CFL with the Calgary Stampeders. Hey, John, he fashions, I would say, himself as a football pundit now. Can I say Fan 960 Calgary, Johnny? We're going to get to those stamps in a second. But our topics of the day are Nathan Rourke and Trey Ford, quarterbacks. As you know, what do you think about Nathan Rourke? Where do you think he should go next after being released by the New York Giants on Sunday?
Well, I mean, he's going to have to go through waivers here right away. The waiver process is going to take a little time. I believe it's 4 p.m. Eastern today. He finds out if he cleared waivers or not. And from there, I would imagine that his next step would be to just take some time for him and his family and decide kind of what they want to do. So I think the biggest step for them would be trying to find the right fit. I mean, in the NFL, I mean, it's all a matter of, guys are in camp now. They probably have their roster set. He's looking for poor player injury to create a spot. And if there's multiple quarterbacks that have injuries or things like that with one team or one franchise, that might be an opportunity for him to get in there. I would try to find the spot for him that's going to be the best place where he can play and get on the field or get into that 2 deep or 3 deep. He's been having a hard time doing that lately, it seems, and we'll have to see where it goes from here.
Basically, you're saying exhaust all NFL options and then see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's going to get another shot. So he's got to exhaust all his NFL options at this point. He could sign in the CFL, have another great season or another great 2 seasons, but he might end up, being labeled a CFL quarterback moving forward. So if he has this opportunity where people think he has an opportunity to play in the NFL, why not exhaust all options, get to the 2-3 years of practice roster that he's allowed to use, and, see if he can get into that roster, because the opportunity for him to make north of $1 million and compete at the highest level is only going to be in the NFL. He's going to have an opportunity to compete at a very high level in the CFL and to, make a lot of great money for him and his family. I'm sure he'll make, millions of dollars between now and the end of his career. It's just sort of, where's it going to be and how's it going to happen?
Thank you. And Lapo, like you, Lapo was on here earlier saying that don't expect any decision anytime soon because we're all sitting there hitting refresh. Don't. Yeah. It'll be a while. The next one, Trey Ford. Trey Ford. What was your take on how that game ended last night in Edmonton? Do we have John? Oh, there he is.
I just got to pause there. You want to say that question again? Go ahead.
What was your take? What was your take on the way that game ended last night? A mirage, garbage time, or legit play? And should he start this week for the Elk?
I mean, probably a combination of the two. I thought that he had some elite plays there. Thought he had an opportunity to, do what he does, and that's, extend plays and find an opportunity to find an open receiver downfield and throw that 50-50 ball. Very similar to Cody Fajardo, where he can roll out of the pocket, find a guy downfield, and just throw it up there for him. So I think Trey Ford was really dynamic, had an opportunity for the Elks there to put some points up. And I don't know why they wouldn't go to him next game. I don't think this McLeod-Bethel-Thompson thing has worked out. He hasn't won any football games. He's been complaining in the media, not really what a leader does for a football team. I don't know what that locker room's like. I don't imagine it's great when they're 0-7. And, there's been lots of change there from Chris Jones to guys moving into different spots from leadership standpoints. I think the Elks could look to find some continuity and find a player that they think they could play with long term. I don't think that answer is, in their locker room there with the current quarterbacks that they have. Maybe it's Trey Ford. Maybe they're going to find out. But if they have an opportunity to find out what they have and go to next season, that'd be great. I mean, realistically, this last offseason, if they use the $500,000 that they gave to, their other quarterbacks, if they use that instead of McLeod-Bethel-Thompson getting that money, if they allocated that to D-line, linebackers, move that around, I'd imagine they'd have a better roster because they have an opportunity, not unlike NFL teams when they have a young quarterback. He's not making a ton of money for Trey Ford, so if they can allocate resources to other areas, maybe that makes them a more complete and better football team. And as we've seen, Chris Jones maybe mismanaged that situation, and now he's paying for it. So, he's going to have to find another job somewhere in the CFL or maybe another football league here in the future.
to the mighty Horsemen, who weren't that mighty in Ottawa on Friday night. 33-6, they got pummeled. I'm saying, will the real Calgary Stampeders please stand up? What's the take in Cowtown?
It's been a tale of two teams. They play really well at home, and on the road they seem to struggle a little bit. They especially struggled against Ottawa. I don't think that was a great game. Every pro team in football is going to have usually one game a year that's a bad game like that. I mean, they were playing on a short week, a little bit of travel, so if there was a game that I thought that might happen, that might be the one. But, they had an opportunity there, especially in the other road games, to win, whether it was at Winnipeg, whether it was, against some other teams here during the season. They had opportunities to win and get in there, and it'll be interesting to see where they finish. I would imagine right now, you look at the West, I'd imagine the third place team is going to be, a 500 club. So if the Stampeders, currently 3-4, can get to the end of the season, get to 9 wins, I don't know if the Elks or if the Blue Bombers will get there. So, I mean, there's seemingly a pretty easy path to get to the playoffs, but seeing how bad Calgary's been on the road to start the season, I'm sure they would prefer to play at home at least once. So we'll have to see what happens between now and the end of the year, but tale of the, I think it kind of goes as Jake Maier goes. We saw him play a really great game 2 weeks ago, and we saw maybe his worst game of the season this last week. So he's got to get more consistent. I think that's the biggest change we're going to see is, can he find his consistency? And if he doesn't, they'll struggle. And if he does, I think they have an opportunity to be a great football team.
Let me ask you this, John. You've been around a while. Not saying you're old, but you've been around. Do the coaches right now do they want to play 10 out of 10 now or build to the end to be 10 out of 10? Because Ryan Fell was an example of a great Calgary football guy. It's like, Rod, Stamps don't get it together in the summer. They just turn it on at the end. I'm like, well, it doesn't sound like a great recipe, but they seem to do it every year. So how concerned do you think the Stamps are, Dickie, where they are versus what they've been able to pull it together at the end? They always do.
Yeah, I don't think he's concerned at all right now. I think he's a coach that's been around. I think that they have a little bit of talent there in the room that's been around a while too. I mean, I know it's a younger team, but they have some guys that have been around, and they have a lot of continuity in their coaching staff that's won a lot of football games. And they know that if they can get to the playoffs, maybe they finish the season winning 4 out of 6 or 5 out of 6. That's a great opportunity for them. But it's the CFL. We've seen a lot of 8, 9, 10-win teams come into the playoffs hot and finish with a Grey Cup championship. And, I mean, everybody in Calgary knows we saw, the last decade or so, a lot of Stampeders teams that went into the playoffs winning 14, 15 games and didn't finish with a Grey Cup. So, I mean, I think we're all kind of learning as Stampeders fans that these 12, 13-win seasons maybe aren't the norm, as much as we've been used to them over the last, 15 seasons. And, this is a team that's going to have to fight to find some more wins and, finish football games. Because on the road, they seemingly, I know the last game was tough, but the other games were all kind of within a touchdown or so. And, they've been able to finish those games at home. And, well, which team is it that's going to be able to do that in the future? We'll have to find out.
John, you always bring it. I appreciate the analysis. Enjoy the football. Keep it up on social media because I like your takes, and hope to see you before the summer's out.
All right, for sure. Sounds great. Thank you.
Calgary football analyst John Bender.